All right, welcome in. A lot of news coming out of 49ers practice today. They have signed a cornerback, a former top 10 pick, somebody who is toward the tail end of his career, but you might recognize the name. Eli Apple has joined San Francisco. They need cornerback depth. They're going to get it through Eli Apple. They worked out a bunch of corners, actually, after practice today. The reason the 49ers need more bodies at the cornerback room is because Renardo Green is going to be out for about 2 to 3 weeks with the hamstring injury that I told you about at the end of Friday's practice. So setback for Renardo, but I've got more intel on Renardo Green. He actually visited Diomedor Lenore down in LA for a couple days this offseason, and we're going to hear from Demo in just a little bit. We're also going to talk about Jauan Jennings, who exited practice today with a calf issue. We don't know how serious this is, but it's worth noting that Jauan Jennings missed some time during OTAs and minicamp back in the spring with a calf issue. Kyle Shanahan today said that this problem could be related to that or could be similar to that problem. And we also know that Jennings and the 49ers are negotiating a new contract right now. And I've got a lot of questions about that contract. I've talked about incentives. 49ers can potentially bridge a gap there. But you also just have to think, is Jennings right now willing to give the 49ers more team control, meaning another year under contract, which benefits any team? The 49ers are currently benefiting from the fact that Jauan Jennings is under contract this season. Would Jennings be willing to give the 49ers contractual control, not just for this season, but for next season, for 2026, so that he can get more guaranteed money now? Or is Jauan Jennings going to be insistent on wanting to reach free agency after this season, in which case he wouldn't want to give up another year of contractual control to the 49ers? Because if Jennings is willing to do that, I could see, I talked about this ever since the news came out regarding Jauan Jennings wanting a new contract. We talked 12, 13 million per year. I could see the 49ers being okay with 2 years, 13 million per year. But I wasn't sure if Jauan Jennings would be okay with that because he just turned 28. 29 years old next off season might be his last chance to take a really, really big bite out of the apple in free agency. Would he be willing to stave off free agency for a little bit more security now? It all ties together because it's a big contract dance, right? It ties together because whenever a player does leave practice with an injury, I know that Jennings has been bothered by the calf, the spring. Now, you realize that these guys, they never stay healthy and they can never play forever. Like everyone has an expiration date in the NFL. So it is always a dance, especially if you're a sought after player, if you're a valuable player, to figure out when your value is the highest, to figure out when you've got to cash in, when to roll the dice. And Jauan Jennings finds himself in a really interesting position because he still is under contract for this 2025 season. So free agency is there dangling right in front of him. Players love free agency, right? Because that is their chance to cash in with the most leverage on their side. But you also have to play a football season before you get to that spot of free agency. So would you sweeten the pot of your contract in another way? And we'll see if the 49ers and Jauan Jennings do reach an agreement on that front. Those are the dynamics that are at play right now. But the 49ers and Eli Apple, you might remember this unfortunate picture. This is Eli Apple back when he was with the Cincinnati Bengals. He was in coverage there. It's a famous touchdown in the Super Bowl. It's Cooper Kupp hauling in the pass. To be fair, nobody could cover Cooper Kupp in that 2021 season. Eli Apple, you could say this. He was the 10th overall pick of the New York Giants back in 2016. He's going to be 30 years old next month. I don't care who you are. If you find a way to last in the NFL for a decade, and that's what Eli Apple is coming up on, if you find a way to last in the NFL until age 30, you've done something right. You may not be a world-beating player, but you've done something right. And for that, I think Eli Apple deserves a tip of the cap. Has he given up some big plays? Yes. Has he lived up to his 10th overall pick status? Probably not. But then again, he's shown some longevity in the league. He's never a star, that's for sure. And with the 10th overall pick, you would hope that you get a star. But to be honest, the hit rate in the NFL isn't all that high. He has stuck in the league, and now he's going to be with the 49ers. That comes from his agency. San Francisco is not signing Eli Apple to be their starting cornerback. The 49ers are signing Eli Apple to be depth, and it seems like they wanted a veteran flavor to their depth because I think that they're relatively young in the cornerback room. Renardo Green, as I just said, out for the 49ers for about 2 to 3 weeks. The timetable on Renardo is the week of the Raiders joint practice and then the Raiders preseason game. So we sit here right now and it is August 27th, Sunday. Next week, it's going to be, it's July 27th. Sorry, I'm getting a month ahead of myself. August 28th is when the 49ers New Jersey comes out. So that's still about a month away. But it's July 27th next week. Next Sunday is going to be August 3rd. That's going to be Broncos week. The 49ers host the Denver Broncos for a joint practice on August 7th. The following Sunday is August 10th. That's 2 weeks from today. On August 14th, the 49ers will have a joint practice with the Raiders in Vegas. On the 16th, they play the Raiders in Vegas. So that game is nearly 3 weeks away. That's 2 weeks and 6 days away. But Raiders week will formally start 2 weeks from now on August 10th. So I'm thinking the 49ers probably will practice on August 11th. Maybe there's a shot that we see Renardo Green back by then. Maybe not. Jacob Cowing, by the way, also with a hamstring injury, is in the same boat. But that week is when Kyle Shanahan said that both of these players with hamstring injuries will return. So at least for the time being, the 49ers need to fill the cornerback room so that guys on the back end are not overly strained at these practices. It's not about filling in a first stringer. It's about filling in the spots behind the guys who are second stringers, who are the guys who step up to take the spot of Renardo Green for the time being. So we saw a lot of Dallas Flowers today. Dallas Flowers. So I've moved him up onto my 53-man projection now. He's one of the veterans in this room. Used to play for the Colts. Had a really, really nice pass breakup today. Dallas Flowers and Trey Brown, I see as competing as some of these outside veterans for one of the 49ers cornerback depth spots. Then the 49ers have somebody who's been in the building already for 2 years, and Darrell Luter Jr., who made a couple plays on Friday before the 49ers took Saturday off. So you've got Trey Brown, the former Seahawk, Dallas Flowers, the former Colt, Darrell Luter Jr., who's been with the 49ers for 2 years trying to take that next step. Those are going to be the immediate beneficiaries of the extra reps that will come about because of the Renardo Green injury. And we've seen good stuff from all three of those guys at parts of these practices that the 49ers have undergone over the past week. Then you've got the young guys. The two rookies are Jacob Robinson and Derek Canteen, and then a younger veteran in Trey Avery in that cornerback room. But both Robinson and Canteen registered pass breakups today. So you're seeing a lot of good stuff from these younger players in the cornerback room. Eli Apple fits in at the very, very back of the room. I could even swap his name here with Trey Avery's, and I think that probably would be more reflective of how the pecking order is working at the 49ers cornerback room. So you're not bringing Eli Apple, who hasn't started in a couple of years, in to be a starter, even a 53-man projection. You're bringing him in so you have some veteran tutelage in the room. He's got a good veteran presence in the room, somebody who's been around the league for a while, since 2016. By the way, Eli Apple was Joey Bosa's college teammate at Ohio State. How's that for some trivia? Back in probably 2013 to 2016. He was Joey Bosa's college teammate back there at Ohio State before Nick Bosa showed up at Ohio State. But you've got a veteran presence in Eli Apple. He's about the same age as a Joey Bosa. And then you've got your younger cornerbacks in what is, I think, a very relatively young room. Those guys have been putting on some good tape here over the course of training camp. They're going to continue to work and try to get into good position to make this 53-man roster. So that's why the 49ers signed Apple. It's nothing more, nothing less. I think that talking about Jauan Jennings leaving with a calf issue is a much more salient topic for deep dive discussion right now, because the 49ers are in a position where the receiver room has so many questions and injuries. We could reopen the depth chart here very briefly just so you can see what it's looking like for the 49ers in the receiver room. Ricky Pearsall returned today, so we took him off of the injury shading. He has been activated from PUP. That's good for the 49ers because Brandon Ayuk is still there. Jauan Jennings is not on PUP, but he didn't finish the practice today. Jacob Cowing, not on PUP, but he's not going to be back until around the time that we see Renardo Green return. So I've got now Junior Bergen and Isaiah Nair making the 53-man roster for the 49ers, rookies shaded in green. Because if Ayuk is on the shelf at the very start of all this and Demarcus Robinson is suspended, even if Jennings and Cowing are back and healthy, you've got 2 extra spots if you're going to carry 6 receivers on the 53. So the 6 would be Pearsall, Jennings, Cowing, Watkins, that's 4, Bergen, and Nair. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. There's also Russell Gage, who's been making a hell of a move. He had another catch today. This one was for a touchdown. This was in red zone drills. Russell Gage out-muscled Chase Lucas for a football near the pylon. Russell Gage, this guy's not chopped liver. He played for the Atlanta Falcons and had a couple 70-catch seasons. He was the number 3 wide receiver and a good number 3 wide receiver in the NFL before he tore his patellar tendon at the start of the 2023 season. Training camp 2023 is when he suffered a severe knee injury. We have not seen Russell Gage play a regular season game since, so it's been 2 full seasons since he's played a game. However, he's been showing out at 49ers training camp. He's made the most catches out of any receiver at 49ers training camp, including that touchdown where he out-muscled Chase Lucas today. So everything here is worth paying attention to in that receiver room. Again, I've got Russell Gage on the outside looking in, but this situation is going to be murky until the very end because we need to know what the Demarcus Robinson suspension news is going to be, where we're still waiting on that. We need to make sure that guys who are currently hurt, like Jennings and Cowing, they could be relatively minor injuries, but they have to get over those injuries. Simultaneously, we're talking about Jauan Jennings' contract. Simultaneously, we're covering Ricky Pearsall's return to practice. And simultaneously, we're waiting. This is more on the back burner, but we're waiting to see what a firmer prognosis on Brandon Ayuk is. So with so many questions in that receiving room, you could see why we're talking a lot about the rookie Isaiah Nair. You can see why Junior Bergen, who had that nice reverse with Mac Jones out in front the other day, you could see why he's a topic of discussion. You could see why they signed Equinemius St. Brown and Quintez Cephas. You could see why I'm writing on an almost daily basis about the 49ers receiver room. This is the article that we have up on the San Francisco Standard. I do not have another update on Teron Jackson at the moment, but I do feel that it's necessary to bring this up. If you have not seen the instant reaction yet, that was the video right after practice, covered the fact that Teron Jackson was carted off with the backboard and taken to Stanford Hospital. The good news in this situation is that he was speaking and that he could feel all of his extremities. So that allowed the 49ers to breathe a little bit easier. They actually did finish up practice. Several years ago, my first year covering the 49ers, just within the first couple of weeks of covering the 49ers at training camp, a rookie named Donovan Newsome had to be carted off and taken to Stanford Hospital with a upper body, neck, head injury. And he also ended up being okay as far as extremities and all that, but he did suffer a big concussion. In the case of Teron Jackson, we don't know exactly what the prognosis is yet, but we do know that he was speaking, he was conscious, and he could feel his extremities when he was being taken away to Stanford Hospital today. So I promise to keep you updated on Teron Jackson as this day progresses and as this week progresses. That was obviously at the top of everyone's mind today, but went further into this article, talked about Jauan Jennings, talked about Demarcus Robinson, nice little picture there of Jauan Jennings at practice. And then, of course, we finished up with Brock Purdy and his good news, which Kyle Shanahan said would be coming the next time that Brock Purdy addresses the media. I could tell you a little bit more about practice today. By the way, that article is going to be up on the description. I'll have Mike toss it in there right now. Or if you're watching this later, it's going to be right at the top of the comment section. Just a nice little pin at the top of the comment section. So make sure you go ahead and check it out. But Mike Shanahan was at practice today. That is Kyle's dad. A really funny quote from Kyle about it. He enjoys football, so it's entertaining for him. I think my mom likes a little break, so she tries to get him to come out here to practice. But I grew up going to training camp, loving football, and not realizing until you grow up that it gave you a chance to hang around your dad a lot. And it's cool that he can come here, do this, and still get to hang around me and my son. It is Carter a little bit. Grandpa Shanahan getting a chance to hang around his grandson, and, of course, his son Kyle Shanahan at 49ers practice, 49ers training camp. Remember that Kyle grew up going to his dad's training camps, 49ers training camps in Rockland. This is back in 1992 to 1994. The 49ers, before they held training camp in Stockton, would held their training camp in Rockland at Sierra College, which was the future alma mater of Brandon Ayuk. He went to Sierra College before he went on to Arizona State. Brandon Ayuk grew up in Reno, but Rockland hosted the 49ers, hosted Mike Shanahan, the offensive coordinator, and hosted Kyle Shanahan, his son, back in the early 90s. Those were very important, formative years for Kyle Shanahan. So now you could see it passed forward. We're in the year 2025. Kyle has his son, Carter, out at these training camps, and his dad, Mike, now retired, is observing 49ers practice, offering a new set of eyes into what the 49ers are doing. You know, speaking of Mike, there's a different Mike. His name is Mike Silver, wrote a really good book. I actually have it behind me. I should grab it. I was reading a little bit of it yesterday. It's the Why is Everything. It's about Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay and that entire coaching tree. But he talks a lot to Mike Shanahan in the book. And I was reading the chapter yesterday about Brock Purdy. And I think the quote from Mike Shanahan was, when you have a quarterback who can do what Brock Purdy can do, you do not let him out of the building. That's what the 49ers mentality was in 2022. They made sure that Brock Purdy stayed in the building. He made the 53-man roster, if you remember, for the 49ers. That was the year of craziness with Jimmy Garoppolo still on the football team, and Trey Lance ended up being hurt in week 2. He suffered the ankle fracture. So that gave way to Garoppolo, who gave way to Brock Purdy after he broke his foot. And obviously the rest was history. Well, one of the big proponents for Brock Purdy, who definitely had the ear of one of the 49ers' main decision makers, maybe their main decision maker, was Mike Shanahan. Shanahan liked Purdy really early on. And now he got to watch Brock Purdy at today's practice. So let's talk a little bit about today's practice. We can talk a little bit more about the contract dance. I want to also show you some of what Deommodore Lenoir said about Renardo Green. By the way, I'll put it up on the screen right now. He and Cowing both out 2 to 3 weeks with their hamstring injuries, because that is the timetable ahead of when the 49ers play the Raiders and practice against the Raiders. This all opens up a door for the younger cornerbacks, and the 49ers have a lot of them, to get some more reps at practice. And Deommodore Lenoir, who spoke to the media today after practice, actually revealed that not only did he host Renardo Green at his place in LA, he also had Upton Stout over to his house before OTAs. Upton is the 49ers rookie out of Western Kentucky, 3rd-round pick. They're projecting him at nickelback, but Upton Stout sought out Deommodore Lenoir, the veteran, early to try to get an edge. And this is what the summit between the veteran Lenoir and the rookie Stout was like.
Just really the game slowing down for him. You know, like I mentioned the first time during OTAs, that was like when I first noticed it. He had hit me up. That was one thing. That was like the first step, when he had hit me up. Then he came to my house, and then we got on the board. we was going over the defenses and stuff. And then I just seen how, like, after that, the game just slowed down for him. And I seen, like, the plays that he making, the stuff he reacting to, like, it's slowly coming together for him.
So that was Diamondo Lenore on his meeting with Upton Stout, saying that it's coming together for Stout. Today, the 49ers ran some Dallas Flowers in with the first team. Trey Brown has been working with the first team. And whenever Brown was on the outside, Upton Stout lined up as the slot cornerback. They've also been running some Trey Brown at slot cornerback. I think what they're trying to do is give themselves as much versatility as possible once the regular season begins. Remember that Trey Brown in 2023 was graded as PFF's top rated press coverage corner in the entire NFL. He ran into serious injury issues that derailed what was going on there. Good stuff in Seattle in 2023. He ran into those serious injury issues in 2024. That obviously depressed his value on the free agent market. But if Brown had been able to deliver the kind of year that he did in 2023 again in 2024 with full health, probably would have been outside of the 49ers price range. But he has shown the ability to play in the press coverage type of system that Robert Saleh is going to demand. So Brown is somebody with a resume, somebody that's done it at this level. Dallas Flowers, also a veteran with some years under his belt, but still a younger cornerback who obviously made a really, really athletic, acrobatic pass breakup today. And then you've got the rookie Upton Stout, who, I drove all the way to Western Kentucky. I was in Nashville, so it wasn't like that crazy of a drive. I think it was an hour and a half. I went to Western Kentucky. I sat down with Tyson Helton, who was Upton Stout's head coach with the Hilltoppers out there. And the belief that this Western Kentucky program had in this 5'8" cornerback, somebody whose stature, really wouldn't sell you all on its own, but the belief that they had in his work ethic and what he did on the field and the way that he played against some of the big schools on Western Kentucky's schedule. He had a really good performance, for example, against Alabama when Western Kentucky played them. It was really eye-opening to me to hear from the staff and what Upton Stout was able to accomplish in college. So cool to see that he showed up and, wasn't just celebrating being drafted. His head wasn't spinning. He immediately rolled up his sleeves, got Diamondo Lenore's number, and went to work. And he called up Demo and he said, "Hey, I see that you went from being a 5th-round pick to a guy paid $88 million on a contract just a few months ago. I want to follow in your footsteps." That's what Upton Stout said. And Diamondo Lenore took him under his wing, invited him over to his house. They watched some tape, and all of a sudden he saw things slow down for Upton Stout. If Stout is going to be able to contribute year one for the 49ers, that's the kind of stuff that's going to help him get ahead of the curve of rookies. So really worth keeping an eye out for, because I've written about Upton Stout up on the Standard. I did that big interview with Helton. Go listen to it. It's up on the YouTube channel. We literally traveled to campus to figure out what Upton Stout was all about. I think that him going out of his way to contact Diamondo Lenore and head over to his house to learn some of the playbook, I think this matches exactly the information that we collected on Upton Stout coming out of the NFL draft. This guy's an overachiever. He realizes that his size can be seen as a limiting factor, but he wants to make sure that teams know that he's going to play a lot bigger than the 5'8" that he's listed at. Now, Lenore, he's been working with a lot of teammates this offseason. Diamondo Lenore, back when he was in LA over the course of this summer, also hosted 49ers veteran cornerback Renardo Green. Let's have a listen to see how that trip went.
RG, he came to LA, so I just showed him around town in LA. We worked out a couple times, but I know this is going to be a big year for him, and I'm excited for him. Just really the confidence level. It always take that big jump from year one to year two, to be on the island and play corner. So I think his mindset is everything changed and flipped, and he's ready for action.
Ready for action in the big picture. Obviously, in the shorter term, Renardo Green is going to be off of the practice field for a couple of weeks. He had his best practice that I've seen in a 49ers uniform for Renardo Green on Friday. It really is too bad. He had 3 pass breakups. He was all over the field. I think that Renardo's a dog. So is Jauan Jennings. So we call it a dog fight whenever Renardo Green and Jauan Jennings get after it. We also know that it's a dog fight whenever Diomede Lenoir and Jauan Jennings get after it. By the way, they had that little fight the other day. We asked Demo about it today, and he said, that's just how we greet each other. That was a good line. Lenoir on his little shoving, maybe one swing match with Jauan Jennings on Friday. Good stuff. Anyway, Green was really, really impressive on Friday. And I thought that was great for him because it's hard for corners to look impressive before the pads come on. The pass rush and the quarterback is not sped up. Even in padded camp, the quarterback is not going to be sped up in the same way that he is in an actual game because you can't actually hit the quarterback. So it makes it tough for defensive backs. We talk about every 10th of a second mattering. If the pass rush can hit in 2.3 seconds instead of 2.5 seconds, a cornerback can look like an all-pro when he previously looked like garbage. I mean, that's how big of a difference 0.2 of a second makes in the NFL. So this is a league of insanely tight margins. So if a cornerback can do some good stuff when the pass rush isn't even live yet at some of these non-padded training camp practices, I think that's a good sign that he's got some ability. And the 49ers have had several cornerbacks make plays over the course of the past couple practices. Anyway, Renardo Green made 3 really, really good pass breakups on Friday, which is why I thought that it was his best practice as a 49er yet, not just this year, also including his rookie season. However, on the last pass breakup, which was a deep ball intended for Jauan Jennings that Green was able to deflect and get on out of there, he pulled up lame and he was walking with a limp, and we were worried that it would be a hamstring, and it was indeed a hamstring. A hamstring strain for Renardo Green is going to keep him out 2 to 3 weeks. So it really is too bad because Renardo was rounding into form. You heard Demo talking about the boost in confidence that he thought that he had and probably still has. It's just going to be put on delay here for 2 or 3 weeks. The confidence that he came into training camp with, and it's confidence that you need to have if you're going to make that successful second year jump. Think about Diomede Lenoir's career trajectory. Comes in as a 5th rounder in 2021, doesn't play a whole lot. Then 2022, he's thrust into action, and Lenoir was a maligned cornerback by the fan base throughout a lot of the 2022 season. It wasn't until the very end and the playoffs when the guy started turning into an interception machine. Remember when he got Dak Prescott in that divisional round game? Didn't he get him twice? He might have gotten them twice in the divisional round game against the Dallas Cowboys. He definitely had at least one interception, and he had one a week prior against Geno Smith in the wild card round. Then he showed up in the NFC Championship game, and people don't talk about this, but it's worth talking about. And the reason they don't is because all the focus was on how screwed the 49ers got when Brock Purdy tore his elbow. But the defense, and especially the pass defense in that game, played really, really well for the 49ers. And I'm talking between Lenoir and Charvarius Ward in 2022 against the Philadelphia Eagles, the 49ers only gave up a couple catches all afternoon long. I mean, I think that we saw what happened in 2023 when the 49ers just boat raced the Philadelphia Eagles when they were healthy with Brock Purdy in place. I think something like that, maybe not to that extreme degree, but I think the 49ers were the stronger team, could have won that game. People forget about what kind of advantage they had at the cornerback position in that game with Charvarius Ward and Lenoir shutting it down in that football game. People forget about that because the Brock Purdy injury, so unfortunately, made everything for the 49ers just a miserable affair on that afternoon. Anyway, the bigger picture moral of the story, especially since Charvarius Ward is no longer with San Francisco, is that you need 2 of these really good outside corners in this league because you're going to get picked on. If one guy is subpar, the opposing quarterbacks aren't just going to ignore your good cornerback and they're just going to pick on your bad one. So you need two solid corners in this league to have an upper half defense. Obviously, they have one in Lenore, and I think they have one in Renardo Green, but he needs to heal up and get back for San Francisco. In the meantime, they're going to be trying to cultivate that depth behind him, and we could take one more look at it because I do think that it is one of the more unknown positions on this 49ers roster. Here you go. Obviously, Upton Stout. Saran Neal closed practice today with a pick six off of Tanner Mordecai. Do I think that Saran Neal is going to get significant cornerback snaps? No, I don't. I think he could be a nice backup nickel for San Francisco if that's what they need. But this is a special teams ace. They brought him in to replace George Odom. But he did have a nice pick six to end practice today. And it's worth noting. I think that Darrell Luter Jr. has a golden opportunity for the 49ers. And I know that he had that nice pass breakup on Friday. We'll see if we hear more from Darrell Luter Jr. as time progresses. I know that Trey Brown can press cover. I know that Dallas Flowers is a really athletic corner. I mean, they've got ability in this room. It's about who rises to the top and seizes this opportunity. And with Renardo Green out for a couple weeks, we might actually see some real movement. But we go back to the top of this show, and anybody who thinks the 49ers signed Eli Apple to be a 53-man projection just doesn't understand what they're currently working with. They may not have big names, but they definitely have performers who have broken up passes so far in camp, who they're excited about, who have precedence right now on this roster in this battle ahead of a guy like Eli Apple. I mean, Eli is also going to be at the battle against Jacob Robinson, undrafted free agent, Derek Canteen, who made this team via a tryout at the rookie minicamp. So the 49ers have names in this cornerback room. There might just be names that you're just now becoming familiar with, but the developmental time for them is here. And of course, you can benefit so much from a pass rush that gets home. Last year, the 49ers felt the need to renovate their whole defense. But last year, they actually registered a solid defensive EPA when their pass rush got home. The problem for the 49ers is that they didn't have enough opportunities to rush the passer because their run defense was so bad. So a lot of people misdiagnosed this defense. They're saying, oh, they gave up a ton of third downs and, this pass defense wasn't worth anything last year. I would pump the brakes on a lot of that talk. I think that the 49ers run defense was terrible in 2023. I think it was really bad in 2024. I think it was really bad in 2023. The last time that they had an above average run defense and it was top 5 was in 2022. They need to get back to that so that they are in much better position to actually rush the passer the way that the secondary deserves the passer to be rushed. Because if you're on your heels as a defensive backfield, you're going to give up a lot of plays, period. There's no way around it. You're going to be on your heels a lot if your defense can't stop the run. That is key number one for San Francisco heading into this 2025 season defensively. And I think that Robert Saleh definitely understands it. All right, 49ers Q&A is upon us. Let's answer some of your questions. Let's go. Grandson Jones thinks that Alfred Collins is going to be the defensive rookie of the year. Well, that would be something, wouldn't it? That would probably mean that the 49ers are on the right track. We have a new member. This is a long time. The Notorious Gav is a long time viewer. Thank you for becoming a member. With another hamstring injury reported today with Renardo Green, and I know we've got Jauan Jennings on the calf. This reminds me that Jim Cotta interview that we put up yesterday. If you haven't watched that, it's 100 minutes long. Bookmark it right now. You can go there right now. Open up a new tab. Don't leave this one. Open up a new tab. Go and bookmark that. Watch it. That is a strength and conditioning, like high-level guy, strength and conditioning coach, was the strength and conditioning coach of the Lakers when Kobe and Shaq were winning titles there under Phil Jackson. It is the interview you need to listen to about hamstrings, body preparedness. we tie in everything regarding the 49ers when we discussed that with Jim Cotta. So go ahead and check it out. Obviously, go ahead and sign up for the San Francisco Standard. Link is in the description and in the comments section. That's it. $20. I'll be able to afford a drink in San Francisco now. They're like $20 around here now. It's getting expensive. So don't worry, I'm not going to go out and spend this on alcohol. I'll spend it to feed myself, but I really appreciate it, man. That's really nice of you. It's really cool. No question even to go with it. I can't even answer his super chat question because there is no question. So we just have to say thank you. That's awesome. Steve says the Cotta interview is worth a listen. I would agree. So please go check it out. Did I have less than 10,000 subs when you came aboard? That's awesome. Now I have like 90,000 and I didn't even have to buy any of them. I didn't have to fake my way to any of the subs. We've gone from wherever we were at less than 10,000 to the most watched 49ers YouTube channel by far. Seriously, go and look at the numbers of all the other channels versus this one. Like go all the videos. It's once in a blue moon now that we have a video under 10,000 views. So very proud of everything that we built here. Proud of Mike. Mike has been huge in helping us build the channel. Thank you to Mike. Let's not clap for too long. We'll have more of a clapping congratulatory session for Mike and all those guys once we hit 100,000. We are about 10,000 away. So hit that sub button, hit the notification bell if you haven't already. We really appreciate you. I do believe this is the most in-depth 49ers coverage that there is out there. So Mike needs a raise. Let's send Mike some more. Mike is awesome. There it is. Mike needs a raise. The GOAT. Any chance the 49ers make a change at center before the start of the season? No. And I've said this many times before. I would really, really urge you to consider the fact that at this time last year, we were just talking about Jake Brendel's knee tendonitis. Every day it seemed to be, will Jake Brendel practice? Will he not practice? I do think that some of that carried over into the season. I get the sense that Brendel is feeling a lot better here in 2025. They like Brendel. Kyle Shanahan likes Brendel more than the metrics do. Let's put it that way. But if any of Jake Brendel's regression in 2024 was because of the knee tendonitis, which I think is a very logical conclusion to reach, and if they believe that he has overcome some of those issues, there's every reason to believe that Jake Brendel is going to be better in 2025 than he was in 2024. And before you get started on, well, he was a good player in 2022 and 2023, especially 2022, his first season starting after Alex Mack retired. That was a big surprise the 49ers got from Jake Brendel. So I think they're hoping that he's able to turn back the clock a little bit if he's feeling better with his knees. But no, to answer your question, there is no chance the 49ers make a change at center before the season starts. You know, if they had been able to acquire somebody like Drew Dahlman at a reasonable price, which was never going to happen because Drew Dahlman went for top-level center money. But if that was on the table, yeah, that's an upgrade. But there is no clear upgrade for the 49ers at the center position, especially given the scheme and given the particular nature with which Kyle Shanahan wants it run. Any update on Malik Mustafa? All I know about Malik is that he's on a very firm timetable because the ACL tear that he suffered was his second on the same knee. So Malik is probably not going to be allowed to suit up for practice during training camp. We're looking at the first half of the regular season, maybe week one for him. Maybe he's on the sooner end of the spectrum, but they're firm. They've got a governor on this. He's looking great. He even ran out there and posted a picture of himself on Instagram holding some pads before practice about a week ago. So I think he's doing great. He's a great athlete. All of that's fine, but the 49ers, this guy was so good last year as a rookie. You want to play it safe with somebody like him, and I think they're running that right. Now, I mean, you're talking about Malik Mustafa. Why don't we look at the rest of the 49ers safety position? So Mustafa is shaded right here with the injury color, but Jair Brown had an interception on Friday. Jason Pinnock have been the two starters. Marquise Siegel, they hope that he comes along. Now, remember, the pads come on tomorrow. So if the pads come on tomorrow, then you're going to start to get a much better feel of how this depth chart is shaking out. So we're going to be looking very closely at this depth chart, probably after every practice, but definitely on every off day to see who's moving into better position where, right? But you've got Richie Grant. That's another free agent that the 49ers added who has starting experience. Jalen Mahoney is still somebody you're developing, former undrafted free agent. Marquise Siegel, I talk about this a lot. He was the fastest safety in the 2025 draft class. So if Siegel can harness his physical abilities, like a top 3 athlete at the position in this class, if he can harness those physical abilities, I think that he can make a rise up the depth chart similar to the one that Malik Mustafa made last year. Then you would start to run into a logjam once Mustafa does return. Pinnock, great athlete. Jair Brown, tenured guy with the 49ers. Mustafa just splashed onto the scene last year and has solidified himself a spot. Then you start to enter the type of territory of good problem to have if you're the 49ers. You have a lot of capable bodies at safety. You've got to figure out who goes into what spot. But they're still far from that. Right now, you could just let them play it out at training camp. It's still July 27th. Mark says that Dominic Pooney will dominate. You ready for the second season of Dominic Pooney? The sensation from the University of Kansas took over the right guard spot last year, played some excellent football. Might have been the best rookie offensive lineman in the whole NFL last year. I mean, Dominic Pooney was really damn good. I think he trailed off a little bit at the end of the season, but boy, for a rookie, given the fact that the 49ers had struggled so much at that right guard position for years, for him to be able to lock it down the way that he did, it's a big arrow up for the 49ers entering 2025. Hit that like button, hit the notification bell. Both would be very, very appreciated. Dang, the Giants are behind in the 8th inning. That's not good. I thought that they might not get swept, but it appears that a sweep might be in their destiny. I'm going to the game tomorrow night, so I was hoping they'd be coming off of a win. 4-3. 8th inning for the Giants. Just checked it out. Look, we've got it up right here. I could put on the game. Could have it playing as we talk and answer some 49ers questions. How's Trent looking out there? This is a good question. Trent's looking really good. You know, he sent a video to Kyle Shanahan showing his vertical leap. Kyle was just curious, what kind of shape is Trent Williams in? Trent sends a video to Kyle, and it's like, oh, okay, the guy could still jump over, I don't know what it is. I think it's well over 30 inches, though. Like at 320 pounds, Trent Williams, I mean, that's insane. I hope you realize that. Also, the guy is going to be 37 years old this season. I think he already turned 37. The fact that he's still able to jump out of the gym, so to speak. Kyle Shanahan was impressed. I know that. I thought that Trent, we saw him when he first took the field at OTAs, the second week of OTAs. You guys remember that? Remember when he pancaked? Was it Isaac Alarcon? Somebody was on the receiving end of a pancake, but Trent looks so light on his feet. I think he's lost a little bit of weight, and I think that's good. I think he's cut the weight intentionally because his ankle's been bothering him year in and year out. So I think the way that you maximize your chances of health is by working a little bit lighter, preserving some of that athleticism. I think that's going to be good for the longevity of Trent Williams' career. Will Mrs. Lombardi be on sometime? Hashtag Margot fan. Yeah, everybody tweet at her right now. If you're on Twitter, go at Lombardi yourself. Ask her, when will you next be on? I'm serious. Do it. The more pressure she gets from social media, the more FOMO she gets, the more she wants to be out there and do a live. But I think she wants to do one at some point. And right now we're kind of swamped with a lot of this training camp stuff, but we'll get her on soon. Margot Mondays. That would be a good one. You think Alfred Collins is going to be a good player? What do I think? I think he's got a prodigious build. I think his calves look like they're pillars of granite. He's got really big, strong calves, and he's got a long wingspan, over 7 feet. Let's see how he can leverage all of that to play along the defensive line. I mean, he has all the tools that you need physically. So the pads come on tomorrow. Let me get back to you after I see some of those practices. Will we see a tandem running back attack if there's a strong complement to Christian McCaffrey? Yes, that's the key. You have to have somebody whom Kyle Shanahan trusts to allow the offense to continue operating at a high level, even if Christian McCaffrey gets a breather. I think Isaac Guerendo is on track to be that guy. Isaac Guerendo was a tremendously efficient receiver last year. It's less in the running ability, more in the trust for the pass game. The pass game is where a running back can either launch the 49ers offense into the stratosphere, or he can cost them a horribly painful turnover. Like if you run the route wrong as a running back, you're the safety blanket for the quarterback. Things can go really wrong. Guys can get hurt. But if you are able to give a plus to San Francisco out of the backfield, you can run a wheel route like Isaac Guerendo did a couple times last year and burn a linebacker. And boy, all of a sudden that's a 40-yard gain, and things change quickly. Most running backs don't have the ability to execute a play like that properly. The reason they don't like to take Christian McCaffrey off the field is because he's a Hall of Famer, and the drop-off between McCaffrey and number 2 had typically been massive. But if somebody like Guerendo's got the wide receivers background, can step up and give the 49ers a true multi-dimensional threat at running back, all of a sudden, I think the calculus changes in Kyle Shanahan's head. Somebody say my face is I think my face is in focus right now. I'm looking. Or is it coming in and out? Oh, it's coming in and out of focus. Hold on. We might have a little situation on our hands. I may have to do like a lens adjustment here. Hold on. All right. Is that better? Now it's a little bit zoomed in, and I think it has to focus on my face. Let's see what Mike says. Have it been out of focus for a while, Mike? Or is it going in and out of focus? I think it's better now. I think, some of it might be to the mic. It might think it's like on an autofocus right now. I may have to put it on a manual focus because it takes the mic, not to be confused with Mike, and it thinks like it needs to focus on this. So maybe if I hold it a little bit lower, we're in a better spot. Is the Russell Gage hype real? Well, I think that he wasn't a bad player earlier in his career. He tore the patellar tendon in 2023 in training camp. We haven't seen him play a regular season game since. But, I mean, the numbers here, I'll just go through the season numbers and you guys can have a look for yourself with Russell Gage. We'll put it on Pro Football Reference. So he was with Atlanta for 4 years, and then he played for Tampa in 2022. And then in 2023, that's when Russell Gage tore the patellar tendon. But with the Falcons, rookie season didn't do much. Second season, 49 catches. Third season, 72 catches. Fourth season, 94 catches. He had 786 and 770 receiving yards, respectively, in 2020 and 2021, third and fourth season. Then he signed with Tampa Bay, had 51 catches, 426 yards. Those aren't bad numbers. Like, if you're able to go above 750 which is what Russell Gage did twice in 2020 and 2021, those are solid number 3 wideout numbers. So this guy's got some ability, and we've seen it. He actually he leads all 49ers receivers in catches so far in this training camp. So Russell Gage, don't write him off. He hadn't played in 2 years, but he's got some veteran guile to him. And we're going to get to watch him more over the course of the next several weeks. All right, everybody, thank you. Really appreciate everything. We have no more super chats. I was going to answer a super chat if there was one. No more new members either. But if you want to sign up for a membership, go ahead and do so. If you want to check out the depth chart, I will post a link to that probably on Twitter at some point soon. What you do need to do is go check out the San Francisco Standard and sign up. Subscribe right now. You've got the article available to you up on the screen right there. And I'm going to go ahead and toss it into the comment section. We had some news today. 49ers have signed or have agreed to terms. They haven't signed him yet. They've agreed to terms with Eli Apple. There's going to have to be a corresponding cut that happens to finalize that deal with Eli Apple. But he is going to be cornerback depth. They need that because Renardo Green is going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks, just like Jacob Cowing with the hamstring injury. Then the 49ers are also going to have to figure out what's going on at the wide receiver position because Jauan Jennings exited practice today with a calf issue. We'll see how serious that is, and we'll see if Jennings and the 49ers get any closer to a new contract. A lot happening with the 49ers right now. Hit the sub button. Thanks for watching. It's been fun. Everybody take care. We will see you maybe a little bit later tonight, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Hit the notification bell and you will know.